evidence also provided an alternative suspect who Diana allegedly was looking for the night she disappeared. This man, John Mazur, had a history of alleged violence against two female co-workers. He allegedly bit one of the nose during a fight and attempted to rape another co-worker outside of work. Mazur was never charged. His car was searched by police for the presence of blood early on in the investigation. Diana's sister Debbie claimed in a post on her YouTube channel years ago that their mother was looking for Diana at the 32-year-old drama teacher's house. They claimed that Diana was engaged in an affair with him. Years later, Debbie met the drama teacher at a karaoke event and claimed the drama teacher told her he was cleared with a polygraph test. Another suspect in the case was the convicted child molester named Gregory Scott Hayton, who was arrested in June of 1993 and later sentenced to life in prison for sexually and physically abusing his girlfriend's 8-month-old son. The baby had multiple broken limbs, was sodomized and infected with herpes in a horrific case of child abuse. Hayton's alleged connection to Diana was that he worked at the gas station across the street from the Iggy's location where both Diana and John Mazur were employed, and was a friend of Diana and her sisters. Hayton was also an alleged drug dealer who used both cocaine and meth. Hayton remained in prison to this day. The child's mother, Angela Lehman, I think it's Lehman, who only met Hayton in early 1993, months after Diana was murdered, received a life sentence as well. The baby was adopted by a local family. Diana's parents, brother and sister Debbie have all passed away in the years since the murder. There is no active page of Diana on Tucson's 88 crime program, and it is unknown if it's being actively investigated by TPD. The last media coverage on the case was back in 2014 when Diana's last surviving sister gave an interview with local news. And that's basically the end of the case. Since it's a cold case, no one knows exactly who murdered Diana, but there is a lot of suspicion. However, unfortunately, times in this murder happened in, when was it? 1992. So yeah, unfortunately, we didn't have enough technology to find out and get more evidence. Let me see. Okay, I found another cold case. This one was posted by Who Knew 00. Cold Case Spotlight: The Unsolved 2006 Murder of Gerald Dahmer. On Monday, November 13, 2006, at approximately 6:15 a.m., Gerald Jerry Dahmer, 48, was shot and killed in the driveway of his home in Park Ridge, Illinois. He was preparing to leave for work when he was ambushed by a masked gunman wielding a 12-gauge shotgun. The attackers had nothing, fired multiple rounds at close range, and fled on foot. Nothing was stolen. The murder appeared clean, silent, and professional. Dahmer was a co-owner of Dahmer Mechanical Industries, a successful plumbing company. He was a father of 4, with no known enemies, criminal ties, or major disputes. The brutality and precision of the shooting stunned both his family and the Park Ridge community. Despite efforts by local police and the FBI, the case remains unsolved nearly 2 decades later. Key facts: victim Gerald Jerry Dahmer, 48 years old, died on Monday, November 13, 2006. Time 6:15 a.m. Location: driveway of his home, Park Ridge, Illinois. Weapon: 12-gauge shotgun. Shooter masked, silent, escaped on foot. Motive unknown. Robbery ruled out. Execution style killing. for information leading to an arrest. Investigation notes and theories. Professional hit, methodical approach, and lack of evidence suggest a professional assassin. Victims' known routines may have been tracked. No security camera footage or eyewitnesses directly identified the shooter. Mistaken identity. Speculation exists that the intended target may have been Salvatore Cautadello, a known mob figure and alleged informant who lived nearby. The shooter may have confused addresses or vehicle models. Organized crime link. Cautadello had ties to the Chicago outfit and was known to be cooperating with law enforcement at the time. Theory: a mob enforcer sent the silencer red hit the wrong man due to a logistical error. Disguised personal motive. Some investigators considered whether someone close to Jerry used a staged professional hit to hide a personal motive. Business dealings, insurance, or personal grievances were all examined but never publicly sustained. Inside knowledge. The killer seemed to know Jerry's early morning routine. The time and place of attack suggests careful planning rather than opportunity. Lack of forensic evidence. No weapon recovered. No shell casings found, possibly cleaned up or picked up by the killer. No fingerprints, DNA, or identifiable clothing fibers left behind. Community impact. The Park Ridge community was shaken, as violent crime is rare in the area. Dahmer was well linked and respected. His death generated local and regional media coverage, but few credible leads. Have you heard local rumors about this case? Do you have thoughts on the theories? Do you live in the area or remember something that never made it into the news? Consider these questions. Could this have been a mob-related mistaken identity case? Was it an inside job with professional staging? Could someone local have helped the killer escape unnoticed? Any theories, recollections, or even vague rumors could help rekindle attention to this case. Let's not let this case remain forgotten. Help give the Dahmer family the answers they deserve. Okay, so this person is also looking for information that some people might have that live in this area of Illinois. Sorry. Some people are speculating that it could be the spouse, a hired hitman to end her marriage so she gets the state without having to go to court and then just get alimony or child support. Could be, but I keen more to the mob accident because if he lived very close to that guy that was a rat, supposedly, I think that he could have mistaken him, but the fact that he was so calculated and clean, I don't know, maybe if he messed up, the killer would make sure that nothing was left behind, but I guess we'll never know, unfortunately. Let's see. Okay, this one is a little small, but I'm gonna read it. It's from Cesar Salazar. Jude Devereaux lost $17 million to a psychic. She helped the FBI take her down. Between the early 90s and 2008, best-selling author Jude Devereaux was scammed out of the more than $17 million by a South Florida psychic named Rose Marks. Jude was dealing with infertility, depression, and relationship issues when she first met Marks, who convinced her she was cursed and needed spiritual cleansing. Marks told her to hand over money, gold, and gifts so they could be cleansed, and promised they'd be returned. She said Jude's future child was spiritually blocked, and after Jude gave birth to her son, Sam, she believed the psychic's rituals had worked. Then tragedy struck. Her son died in a horseback riding accident at age 8. Mark said his soul was trapped and that more rituals were needed to help him cross over. At one point, she told Jude to put $1 million in a suitcase for a ritual. The money vanished. Jude eventually tried to pull away. The threat started. Spiritual danger, illness, Sam's soul being lost forever. It was only when Jude found the courage to speak up that the truth unraveled. She went to the FBI and later helped them build their case. She even testified in court. In 2013, Rose Marks was convicted on 14 federal counts, including wire fraud, money laundering, and tax evasion. She was sentenced to 10 years in prison. It's one of the biggest psychic fraud cases in US history. It's easy to say, I never fall for that. But when you're grieving and vulnerable, people like Marks know exactly how to twist the knife. Discussion points. How do scammers like this gain such powerful control over people? Should belief-based fraud be treated differently under the law? What protection should exist for emotionally vulnerable people? Yeah, it's I don't know. I feel like if it's a scammer and you unfortunately fall for it, the the big majority of the blame is on the scammer, but it's also on the person that would believe it. And if people are having a hard time grieving and feel like something is wrong with their life, they shouldn't go to psychics. They should go to psychologists or psychiatrists, so they know that they're putting their money in good hands and that they're not gonna be robbed like what happened in this case, because 17 million is kind of a lot of money. So even though it's really curious to try to trust a psychic because you think they have spiritual powers, and I do believe that spirituality is a thing and ghosts exist, but I think you would know a scammer when you see one, and the more that you believe, the more it happens. So if she believed that her son died and couldn't cross over because Jude told her so, you're gonna still keep believing in it. So you always have to think that the more you believe in something, the more it will happen. So put your faith in something good and believe in your gut instead of a psychic, you know. Okay, this one only has a picture. Okay, let's see this one from Brazilian woman 94. Murderer found after 50 years on the run. English is not my native language, so I used an online translator to translate my text from Brazilian Portuguese into English to write this text as best as possible, so I apologize in advance for any mistakes. Sharon Keane, born Sharon Elizabeth Hall on November 30, 1939, January 21, 2022, also known as Jeanette Pugliese, La Pistolera in Mexico, and Dietra Clapus, later Dietra L., married James Keane and lived in a rural home in the Independence, Missouri area until her husband was found dead with a gunshot wound to the back of the head while sleeping. The death was initially ruled accidental after Sharon claimed that her 2-year-old daughter had shot her while playing with the gun, but later testimony revealed marital problems and extramarital affairs on her part. Sharon met her lover, Walter Jones. Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize for the noise. I'm gonna be right back. apologize, but me and my family are having a mosquito problem, and my parents are trying to kill all of the mosquitoes. So they're being a little bit loud, so I apologize. Especially my mother, she screams a lot, so I hope that you can't hear that too much, but let's keep going. Sharon met her lover, Walter Jones, when she bought a car with money from her husband's life insurance and the sale of their house, and tried unsuccessfully to convince him to leave his wife Patricia Jones in May 1960. Patricia disappeared after a date with Sharon. In 1960, Sharon was acquitted, yeah, of Patricia's murder, but was convinced of her husband's murder in 1962. But the Missouri Supreme Court, and they don't shut up. Jesus Christ, I really hate living with my parents. In 1960, Sharon was acquitted of Patricia's murder, but was convicted for her husband's murder in 1962. But the Missouri Supreme Court overturned that conviction due to improper jury selection. Keene was released on bail, then fled to Mexico with her new boyfriend in 1964, becoming involved in the murder of Francisco Ordonez a few days later. She escaped from Mexican prison in 1969. Before and after her escape, Keene gave several interviews and became known as La Pistolera, and it was through a pistol obtained last year that the investigation received new developments. Recently, an anonymous tip led authorities to confirm that she died of natural causes on January 21st, 2022, in Alberta, Canada. During a press conference, Sergeant Dustin Love of the Jackson County Sheriff's Office in Kansas City, Missouri, said that Keene had been living under the name Dietra Klabusch. The investigation revealed that Keene had married several times over the years, including in 1970 to a man named James Klabus in Los Angeles, raising families under several different identities. The final identification of the identity came through a comparison of fingerprints collected at the funeral with those previously recorded during the investigation of Keene's crimes. Well, at least they found the murderer after 50 years. And I don't know why my parents yell so much. It's crazy. Let's see if we can find another case. Have I read this one before? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think I've read this one. Wait, Katrina. Angelique. Oh yes, I read this case on my last video, the tragic murder of Deanna Moran. I remember now because of the name Katrina and Angelique. This one I read as well. Let's see. Okay, let's read this one. Oh, this one is really, really long. I think since this case is so long that I'm going to be reading this one as the last case. Okay, let me just check. I also very much apologize for the noise. You know, so I've been, the stream has been going for 25 minutes. So if I read this, it will go to almost an hour. next, so hopefully it will get that long. I'm sorry if you can hear my parents. I'm just gonna turn it off for a little bit until they're more quiet. There's a comment on my stream saying that you are alone. What are you talking about? I'm not alone. I live with my parents. If you can hear them, that's good, but I'm always scared that people can hear them. Like, I know this mic is very noise cancelling, but I have it on the highest possible, so I'm just so fucking tired of hearing them talk. It's unbelievable. But if I go there and I ask, can you please be quiet? It's literally almost 11 at night and you are literally yelling at each other, and I'm trying to make an ASMR video. They're gonna be like, fuck off. So, I can ask for good things in this house, but hopefully they will shut up soon and go to bed as they should have gone to bed already, because I know that my parents have to get up at like 6 in the morning, so what the hell are you doing up? But still. Okay, let's read this story from Darkly Heritage. Ambushed and asphyxiated in a raid on his home after being fed marmalade, the 2004 murder of Yorkshire businessman John Looper remains unsolved after 20 years. For my second case, I have chosen to examine a case which I am surprised to find appears never to have been featured on Reddit. The unsolved murder of wealthy businessman John Looper in 2004. A case which really shook the Leeds community at the time and made national headlines in the UK. Background: John Michael Looper was born in 1946 in the city of Leeds, West Yorkshire, to parents Stanley Looper and his wife Olga (nee Black). John's only sibling, younger brother Toby, was 8 years younger than John, was born in 1954. In 1981, aged 35, John married Turkish-born Lysian Karabag in Leeds, and the couple's only child daughter, Lisa Rose, was born in 1983. John came from a well-known Jewish family in Leeds and was part of the United Hebrew Congregation, an Orthodox Jewish community which worships at a synagogue in the city. His maternal grandfather, Isaac Ike Black, was a master tailor in one of the finest workrooms in Leeds in the 1940s, 50s, when the city was still the hub of the UK textile and suit trade. He was followed into the trade by his son-in-law Stanley, John's father, and son Norman, John's uncle. Stanley and Norman founded Black and Looper, a textile factory employing hundreds of workers on Kirkstall Road, near to the famous Headingley cricket and rugby grounds, which was for some time the biggest single-story textile factory in the UK and manufactured garments for high-end brands such as Burton and Burberry. The firm also kitted out the Leeds United team that won 1972 FA Cup. Both John and Toby followed their fathers into the family business. It successes and his other ventures, such as in property, made John a millionaire and enabled him to buy a large mansion worth approximately $1.6 million today in Alwoodley on Sandmore Drive, one of the most exclusive streets in Leeds. Here he lived with his wife, daughter, and the family au pair. John was also a non-executive director of the Sports Entertainment Media Group and part of the consortium which bought out the business for £9.4 million. The group represented sports people and celebrities such as Thierry Henry, Rio Ferdinand, Lennox Lewis, and Jody Marsh. Toby was very close to his brother, said of John that he was loyal, he was a great family man. He would help anyone, he would go out of his way to help anyone, sometimes even at his own detriment. Family friends described John as a colorful, forceful character, a warm-hearted family man who was generous to charities, and a larger-than-life character who always had a cheeky grin on his face, with a passion for sports, particularly football and golf. The crime. On 16th February 2004, John set out from the family home at 11:30 p.m. to walk the family dog. He only got as far as the pavement in front of his neighborhood's driveway on Sunmore Drive before he was ambushed by a gang of 4 or 5 masked men who dragged him up the gravel drive, through some bushes, and back to the family home. After entering the house, John was bound with silver duct tape by the gang. John's wife, daughter, aged 20 at the time, and the family's Turkish au pair, who were in bed when the raid began, were also similarly bound and left in an upstairs room separated from John downstairs. The gang stole John's wallet, which contained his credit cards and a substantial amount of cash which he had taken out of the bank in preparation for an upcoming business trip. Jewelry was also taken, including a number of watches, amongst which was a rare Cartier watch, one of the only 4 sold in the UK at the time, made of platinum with vertical rows of diamonds either side of the watch face. Estimates suggest that the jewelry and cash totaled approximately 100k pounds in value. As John lay dying during the raid, an attempt was made by the robbers to feed him marmalade from a jar found in the family kitchen. The robbers, having completed their raid, then fled the home, and on hearing this, the ladies in the upstairs bedroom were able to free themselves from the bindings. On making their way downstairs, they found John unconscious on the floor of the morning room. Police were called at 1:45 a.m. and despite attempts by emergency services to resuscitate John, he was pronounced dead at the scene in the early hours of 17th February 2004. The investigation. Pathologists initially struggled to determine the cause of death for John. It was theorized that due to the attempts to feed him marmalade, he may have suffered a diabetic attack which caused his death. However, it was eventually determined that he had died from asphyxia and that the marmalade had likely been given to him by the robbers as they became concerned about his health during the raid. Police revealed that John had a very mild diabetic condition which did not require medication, and it appears that the robbers became aware of this, possibly through John telling them, and in an attempt to boost his sugar levels, gave him the marmalade. The mode of asphyxiation John suffered has never been revealed. The police did state that there was only superficial injuries on John's body and no signs of violence. Detectives also revealed that the woman had received light injuries, including 2 having suffered light blows as the robbers moved them from room to room as they meticulously searched the property for items to steal. Despite the lack of major obvious violence involved in the defense, Detective Superintendent Bill Shackleton of West Yorkshire Police, who led the initial investigation in 2004, said of the raiders that they came there determined to commit this offense. They were equipped to do so, and they knew exactly what they were going to do when they got there, and they were prepared to use a degree of violence. D.S. Shackleton confirmed that police believe apologizing for what was happening and claiming he did not want to be there. However, the women could not be certain if there were 4 or 5 robbers in total, and this appears to never have been established for certain by police. Extensive forensic searches were conducted of the Looper home and on Sunmore Drive in particular, the area where John was ambushed whilst walking the dog. Numerous public appeals for information were made, including a reconstruction of the crime on the nationally broadcast BBC Crime Watch program. Efforts were made to trace the jewelry stolen. It has never been made public whether any of this has been recovered, but a number of appeals over the 20 years since the crime have focused on the Cartier Platinum watch, so it appears that this rare item in particular is still outstanding. Detectives came to believe from information received that the killers were from within the criminal fraternity of the Bradford and Spen districts. Spen is about 17 miles and 35 minutes by car from Sandmore Drive, and central Bradford approximately 13 miles, but around the same traveling time by car due to traffic and road differences. 10 months after John's death, land and farm buildings at the Windy Bank Estate near Liversedge, English, British have really weird names for things, for roads and places. Near Liversedge, 2 miles from Span, was searched, but if anything of significance was recovered, that information has never been made public and no charges have ever followed. Over the years since John's murder, the case continues to be reviewed. Since 2017, it has been overseen by the West Yorkshire Police Major Investigation Review Team, a team of specialist cold case investigators. The team undertook a full review of the case, especially focusing on forensic evidence and any advances over time which could bring new lines of inquiry from the existing forensic material. It appears that nothing of significance has been uncovered by the review team, and appeals continue to be made, including most recently by John's brother Toby and new lead officer, Detective Chief Inspector Damien Roebuck, on the 20th anniversary of the crime in February 2024. Well, the theories are huge, but I'm not gonna read all the theories because this seems like the type of crime that it has a plausible reason to be made, which they were wealthy and then that attracted burglars, and that's why the crime was committed. This doesn't sound like a serial killer case. It doesn't sound like a very violent case, so it was just 4 or 5 robbers that wanted to rob them, and unfortunately John ended up dying because of a diabetic attack or a diabetic episode, so doesn't seem too complicated. But of course, since the men were masked, it's impossible for them to find out who did it, but since this crime happened in 2004, I believe there could have been made much more investigation on this case, looking for any fingerprints, any tires. You can also make much more investigation looking for the watches and find out in the UK what people have these watches, and just trace them down and see if anyone could have sold the watch to like a family or something, and they could describe the people who sold the watch to. There's a lot of things you can do to try to figure this out, but I'm not a police officer or a detective to figure this out. Let's see if I can find a small one. Okay, I already read this This one is just a question. Okay, I can read this one. It's not too long or too small. So I'm gonna read this one from Mr. Mysteries YT. On October 24th, 1969, Gloria Moody went on vacation to Williams Lake, Canada. That same weekend, her body was found just miles from her hotel. Her murder has never been solved. Her murder. Her murder. 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 Gloria Moody is the first known victim of the Highway of Tears, a name given to British Columbia's Highway 16 and surrounding highways due to many deaths and missing person cases that have occurred there over the years. She was an indigenous woman from the Bella Coola Reserve in British Columbia. A mother of two, Gloria was 27 years old when she went on a family trip to William Lake, a scenic area about 450 kilometers from her home. At the time, a 12-hour drive. Her parents urged her to go on the trip to spend some time away from her unfaithful and abusive common-law husband. Her brother Dave and their parents were traveling with her while her kids stayed at their aunt's house. On October 23rd, 1969, the family left the reserve and spent the night at Anaheim Lake before continuing to Williams Lake the next day. They arrived on the afternoon of the 24th and checked into the Ranch Hotel, a hotel and bar at their destination. The next day, Gloria and Dave decided to do some bar hopping, visiting a few local bars, including the Lakeview and the Maple Leaf, before returning to the Ranch Hotel. They were seen at the Ranch Hotel's bar around 10 p.m., after which time Dave left to go back to their room. While walking, Dave turned around to say something to Gloria, but she wasn't there. Though he thought she was right behind him the entire time, she in fact wasn't. No one at the bar recalled seeing her leave either. The next morning, two people, a mechanic and his friend, drove out to a small lake just a few miles from Williams Lake. On the way back, they noticed Gloria's body on a small cattle trail and immediately called the police. The description of the scene is horrific. When the police found her, Gloria's body was naked and beaten, her clothes tossed nearby, and she showed signs of a brutal sexual assault. The coroner determined that she bled to death, which may have taken as much as half an hour after the assault was done. Police conducted an investigation, but no one in town had seen Gloria leave the bar, so there weren't any leads. To make things worse, the town was especially busy that weekend, and it was a paid weekend off for many workers, and a local 4-hour sale helped fill hotels to capacity. In short, there were too many potential perpetrators. I apologize, English is not my main language. And no way to narrow them down. Gloria's family was shaken by the murder. Her father blamed himself for her death. Gloria's daughter Vanessa said that he locked himself in my mom's room and he just lay there. He didn't eat or sleep, and when he came out, everybody in the whole town talked about how his hair went pure white. After Gloria's death, her mother and father adopted and raised her 2 children. Though police made an investigation into the murder, it took almost 3 decades of Gloria's family to find out anything about it. When they did, Vanessa says police gave them 3 suspect names who might have killed the young mother, including a bartender from Williams Lake. Unfortunately, no one was ever charged for the crimes, and all 3 suspects had passed away before the family was notified of their potential involvement, meaning no one knows whether they really committed the crimes. Vanessa said that some Williams Lake's residents told her everyone knows who did it, but won't say for some odd reason, perhaps fear. To this day, Gloria's murder remains unsolved. What do you think happened? Was Gloria a victim of a serial killer, bartender, or did someone else kill her? Did the police cover up her death? Please leave your thoughts below and let's have a healthy discussion. Well, if you ask me, I think the crime was committed by multiple people. It wasn't just one person. and see if they could find a match. So I just don't know why they didn't do it. What year was this? 1969? Okay, that explains it, but still, it's almost impossible. Like, how can someone just disappear from a bar? And if there's a lot of people, then it means a lot of people saw her. They should have seen her, but this sounds like a town type of conspiracy. Like, the people in the town probably know that these crimes happen at Williams Lake, and they just keep it to themselves so that they can keep the community safe even if someone commits a murder or something. So yeah, well, this live has almost an hour, and I am indeed posting this live on YouTube, so if you want to rewatch it, you can always go on my channel that is in the link. And for the people from YouTube that are watching this video, don't forget to follow me on my social media and follow me as well on Twitch so you don't lose a stream. And you can also join my Discord server so you don't lose a stream as well. And I hope everyone has a good night, sleeps well, or has a good day. If you're using this video to study or relax, I hope it helped you, and I hope everything goes well. And I'll keep posting videos this week as much as I can, and hopefully I'll see you